Good morning. Breaking news. Anti-American protesters attack a U.S. consulate in Libya and the embassy in Cairo, Egypt. This after a controversial film ignites a wave of violence. This morning, Libyan officials tell NBC News that the U.S. ambassador to Libya is dead, along with 3 others. We're live in Cairo.
From NBC News, this is Today with Matt Lauer and Savannah Guthrie, live from Studio 1A in Rockefeller Plaza.
And good morning. Welcome to Today on a Wednesday morning. I'm Matt Lauer.
Good morning. I'm Savannah Guthrie. We're following that breaking news word this morning that the U.S. ambassador to Libya and 3 others are dead amid violent and ongoing protests in the Middle East. Demonstrators angered by a homemade film made by a California real estate developer that ridicules Islam's prophet Muhammad.
The worst of the attacks at the U.S. consulate in Libya, a large mob stormed the building, opening fire with automatic weapons before burning it to the ground. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton is strongly condemning the violence and fears it may spread. Let's get right to NBC's chief foreign correspondent, Richard Engel. He's in Cairo this morning. Richard, good morning. What can you tell us?
Good morning. As you can see, the protests here in front of the U.S. Embassy are still continuing. A new group of protesters just arrived in front of the embassy. The situation, although it is somewhat chaotic here, is largely peaceful. There is a very large security presence from the Egyptian riot police, and these people are still continuing the same demonstration that they began yesterday. But the bigger news is what we are learning about what happened yesterday in the city of Benghazi. A Libyan security official told NBC News that the U.S. ambassador, Chris Stevens, was killed when an armed mob attacked the consulate in Benghazi yesterday. First, they attacked the consulate with RPGs, then automatic rifles, and then set the building on fire. This official says that the U.S. ambassador was holed up in some sort of room and apparently died of smoke inhalation. The U.S. State Department has not officially confirmed his death, only saying that a U.S. official has been killed.
And Richard, do we know anything about the identity of the 3 others that were killed in that attack as well? Are they Americans? Are they military personnel?
We don't know. We know we've been told that the U.S. ambassador's body and 3 other bodies have been taken to the Benghazi airport. There are some reports that at least one, perhaps all of them, may have been U.S. Marines, but we have not been able to confirm that. Our sources only saying that it was the ambassador, 3 other bodies, and that the Libyan president and prime minister are expected to make statements about this sometime today.
And Richard, before I let you go, the film that is at the center of this controversy that seems to denounce Islam and has angered these protesters has been out for a while. Does it seem, though, as if U.S. officials were caught somewhat flat-footed by these protests?
No, I think the U.S. saw this coming. The video has been out there for a while. It was a very obscure online movie, but the case had been picked up by a local preacher here, and the local preacher began to talk about it and started to say that this movie, and it was only described as a movie, not a YouTube-type video, was about to be broadcast nationwide in the United States on the anniversary of 9/11. And that's why people came out yesterday to demonstrate to stop the airing of this movie, which of course was never the case. It was just this online movie offensive to Islam.
That's NBC's Richard Engel. He's outside the U.S. Embassy, where you can see protests continue this morning in Cairo, Egypt. Richard, thank you very much.
We want to bring in Andrea Mitchell, our chief foreign affairs correspondent. Andrea, and as we await any confirmation from the State Department, what can you tell us about Ambassador Stevens? He was an experienced diplomat in the Middle East.
A career diplomat. This is a man who had gone to Berkeley, then he had gotten a law degree, then a master's degree from the National War College. He was fluent in French and Arabic. He had been a Peace Corps volunteer in 1983 in Morocco teaching English before he joined the Foreign Service about 9 years later. This is a man who is very adept at social media. He was active on Facebook. He was very involved with the community. He had been in Benghazi during the the conflict during the Civil War, and then had 2 previous tours in Libya as well, and had been an ambassador throughout the Middle East as well as in Jerusalem in the embassy there. So this is a career diplomat and a huge tragedy, and the first American ambassador, if this is officially confirmed, and we do believe from our sources here as well that this is sadly, tragically true, this would be the first American ambassador killed on duty since Ambassador Dubs in Afghanistan in 1979.
And folks will recall Benghazi was really the center of the uprising, a lot of the unrest in Libya about a year ago. What do you know about the security situation in Libya prior to this, and what kind of security a U.S. ambassador would have in a hotspot like this?
Well, there's always a Marine Guard. It is the Marines, the United States Marines, who guard all of our facilities, this consulate and embassies. So he would have the Marines as well as some diplomatic security. But there's no way that they could apparently resist this mob, a flash mob, or the sudden uprising that took over the consulate.
All right, NBC's Andrea Mitchell with the latest. We'll check back in with you. Thank you.
You bet.
And the diplomatic crisis is also turning political this morning, with the White House and Mitt Romney's campaign trading dueling statements overnight. Chuck Todd is NBC's political director and chief White House correspondent. Chuck, good morning to you.
Good morning, Matt. Well, believe it or not, yesterday began with a pause in the campaign to remember the 11th anniversary of 9/11, but it ended with some nasty political mudslinging.
Muslimin, Muslimin, Muslimin.
Hoping to contain the fallout from the anti-Muslim film, the American Embassy in Cairo released a statement on Tuesday that some Republicans considered a partial defense of the violent protests. The embassy denounced the attack as an unjustified breach, but, appearing to reference an anti-Muslim filmmaker here in the United States, it also condemned the continuing efforts by misguided individuals to hurt the religious feelings of Muslims. Mitt Romney pounced. It's disgraceful that the Obama administration's first response was not to condemn attacks on our diplomatic missions, but to sympathize with those who waged the attacks, the GOP presidential candidate said in a statement late Tuesday. Well, the Obama campaign quickly fired back, saying it was, quote, shocked that following the deadly protests, quote, Governor Romney would choose to launch a political attack.
Sarah Palin!
Even Sarah Palin joined the fray, paraphrasing a line often used to mock her.
And I can see Russia from my house.
As a way to slam the White House. Apparently, President Obama can't see Egypt and Libya from his house, she tweeted.
A couple of things. That Cairo statement by the embassy there was never approved by the State Department or the White House. That said, I can tell you here, Matt, officials here are just stunned that the Romney campaign wouldn't even wait till daybreak before pouncing on this story, considering we didn't have confirmations of the death of the ambassador and others.
Chuck.